Welcome to the Conscious Marketer Podcast, the place for conscious entrepreneurs, teachers, healers, and authors who want to expand their reach and impact in the world. Join us and meet leading experts where we talk all things conscious marketing, launches, storytelling, and other strategies to help you serve more people. Find us at consciousmarketer.com. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's Kylie here, co-host of the Conscious Marketing Podcast, and I'm here with our host, Richard. Hey, Richard.
Hi, Kylie. Glad to be here.
And I'm also super excited to introduce our guest today, Ryan Mckenzie. He's one of my favorite entrepreneurs because he's out there doing things for the planet, and a lot of people give lip service to that idea, but he's actually out there doing it. And Ryan's got a company called Tru Earth. It's a zero-waste laundry company. There's a lot more to it than that, and hopefully we'll get into that today. But Ryan, you're also a serial entrepreneur, and I would love to talk about that too. But first, I just want to welcome you to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to invite me.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, and hopefully this will bring more people into your world of Tru Earth and getting on that subscription. So, and that's my plug, not yours, but I do want to plug you in a big way during this episode. So, Ryan, obviously you have this new company and I want to talk about that, but you also have an extensive marketing background. Will you give us the backstory that took you from those first marketing days to founding Tru Earth?
Yeah, I mean, I've been somehow involved with business since specifically online since the late 90s. And it started with learning a little bit of HTML back in the Mosaic browser days, pre-Firefox, pre-Netscape. And I read this book. I can't even remember what it was called, but I was in San Francisco. It was some kind of marketing book. It's got a big sumo doing a slam dunk on the cover of it. Anyways, that was like the first book that really kind of got me interested in marketing as a whole. And from there, we ran a bunch of different businesses over the years, but initially I focused on SEO, and then I started focusing on some paid media and social media, and kind of rounded out the skill set through, we had a platform where writers could contribute content. People basically could focus on what they're good on and not just marketing. And we built that platform up to at its peak around 50 million visitors a month. After that, I got into business in the magazine space, the actual media space. And we still actually do have an outdoor adventure magazine, which transitioned into me being this expert in working with magazines that were struggling to make revenue or generate revenue, and kind of got into the subscription box space on top of the obviously magazine subscription arena, which was pretty much all build up and for me and learning how the subscription models work for when we got to Tru Earth, which we launched in April 2nd of 2019. So there's a lot of successes. There was a lot of failures over the years, but as difficult as a lot of them were, I kind of look at them similar to like a player that's going to try to play like in the NHL or the Major League Baseball league or whatever. And they have to put in the reps in, every different level to be prepared for when they get to the show or the big leagues. And even though I had a lot of success in a lot of those things over the years, if I didn't go through those things, I don't think this venture would have been able to go as far as it has.
So I would love to hear, this is one of my favorite brand stories. Will you share the story of Tru Earth?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because you actually helped me with this when we were getting started. I think we were a few months in. We were trying to put it down into words, and you were the one that hopped on a call with us and helped us make it nice and easy to understand. But yeah, so leading up to the launch of Tru Earth, a family friend of my business partner had invested in this patent, and he knew that we had success in the subscription space for a while, and we had helped build some of the biggest subscription boxes in Canada. So he was pitching Brad at dinners and stuff, saying like, hey, you guys should make like the Dollar Shave Club of laundry detergent. But he talked about this product, and I know people can't see it, but it's this little strip of laundry that's like 2 inches by 4 inches. And he had suggested that we try it, and we're just kind of like, Well, first of all, I don't think that laundry detergent, I think it's tough to get into that space. There's a lot of really big players. And then second of all, I don't think the margins are probably big enough for like a direct to consumer, direct response type business. So we kind of kicked it down the road, and I had 2 kids at the time and I had another kid on the way. And I was kind of going through what a lot of, I think, new parents go through, and that you start to be a lot more aware of the problems in the world and how they're going to affect the future, not necessarily for yourself, but because you want your kids to grow up healthy and happy and have a place to live that isn't hell. So I was going through a lot of like anxieties. I was worried about AI taking jobs. I was worried about famines. I was worried about global warming, just basically everything. And we were watching a popular kids YouTube unboxing show one morning while my wife was sleeping. And there was this treasure chest they were opening. It was like made of plastic and it was wrapped in plastic. And inside of it were those little dopamine bomb toys that kids love, like the surprise toys. And there was like 100 toys inside of this thing. There's just like plastic on plastic on plastic. And by the time they had finished opening everything up, and we know that these toys are going to get thrown away in like 2 weeks because nobody plays with them. They just want the kid drugs. There was this heaping pile of plastic. And I was just like, man, it just triggered me. And I started learning a little bit more about plastic and different industries. And the laundry thing popped into my head. And I looked up how many jugs are purchased per year in North America. And it's 1 billion. And then if you look at the recycling stats, there's like less than 30% of all plastic laundry detergent jugs are actually recycled. And of that 30%, only 10% is like physically recycled. 20% is generally like burned for energy reuptake. So it's terrible. So there's like 700,000 plastic jugs are ending up in landfills and in our oceans. So that's kind of where that began. Like that, the plastic thing kind of stemmed from there. And then, so I reached back out to Brad, who's my business partner on the other stuff as well, and said like, hey, like, let's try those laundry strips. Like, I think, they originally wanted to package them in plastic, but let's like take a look and see, like, are these, to me, the product sounded too good to be true. Like, 3-gram strip versus 45 grams of liquid. I just didn't think it would be able to clean clothes. So we brought some in, we tested it. My wife tested it. Brad's wife tested it. Kevin's wife tested it. Kevin tested it. Brad tested it. I tested it again. And we're like, man, I can't believe that this little thing works. So Kevin put together the tech to get the website going. And we said, listen, like if we can sell 150 of these, in the first month, we'll try to put more energy and more resources into it and bring it to market. And after the first month, we had sold more than 1,500 subscriptions to this new product. And like, well, I guess, 10 times doing 10 times our minimum viable product launch is worthy of pushing this. And, fast forward now, and I think we're almost at 600,000 total customers, and we have over 150,000 active subscribers to the product. And I think it's almost 2.5 years. Very close.
Wow.
That's a really long-winded story. I you might have to like rein me in if I go too crazy, but I can go.
Ryan, can you share in the early days how you brought the product to market and how you got some of your first subscribers, and was there like a viral component where other people were bringing other people in? Were you able to kind of share some of the details of what that looked like?
Yeah, of course. So, one of the big benefits that we had is we were one of the first to kind of get in the space digitally. So there was the novelty factor when we first came out was pretty high. So we did initially the 3 big things that we did when we launched. The first thing is Facebook's platform. So Facebook and Instagram worked really well. There were some hiccups though, because Facebook was going through a lot of political conversations at the time. So you couldn't advertise any of the environmental benefits, and we still can't on Facebook unless there's a bunch of hoops to jump through. But nonetheless, just the fact that the product's easier to use was enough to get a lot of people to try it. The other thing that we did was we put the product in a couple of subscription boxes. So one of the subscription boxes that we had helped build here in Canada, it was a female lifestyle box. We had organized to have the product in there, and we give a pretty good special offer if people had subscribed. So that was, I would say, moderately successful, not as successful as Facebook ads. And then the third thing is, these are all like basic tactics, but Google ads. But on top of all of that, one thing that we launched in April, which is also Earth Month, or Earth Day falls in April. So there were some stars aligned for us, like Greta Thunberg. She was extremely active at that point. There was a lot of buzz around the environment. And, we were able to, there was a lot of like luck with the timing that, if we were to launch today, I would say that there's other viral and political things that are hotter buttons in the environment. But yeah, those are the big things. I would love to say that the referral part was big. There was a lot of sharing of our ads, but I would say now, like, fast forward 2.5 years, it's like so many, they're like here locally, especially, it's unbelievable the number of people who like, they'll buy the product and they'll share a few sheets with a friend, and then the friend joins it, and it's like completely organic like that. And it's, I mean, obviously we've served a lot of ads over the last couple of years, but like, even if I go to like my kids' soccer game the other day, one of the dads like, "Oh, Tru Earth, I know Tru Earth, somebody I know works there," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know them." And it's weird, like the brand's gotten so big, especially locally here, that I'm not particularly, I'm not a celebrity, but like people know the brand. They're like, "Oh, I love that stuff. I love that stuff. My mom told me about it." So it's pretty wild.
I love that. I'm curious because a lot of our listeners and a lot of our clients are in niches where Facebook, has some rules that can be tricky to get around. What are some of those restrictions that they have in terms of what you're selling? And how do you get creative to not bend the rules, but to be compliant and still be interesting?
Yeah, that like honestly, that's a huge challenge. And so, I mean, the first thing is like if you're not selling globally or you're not selling just in the US, you're not selling just in Canada, if you're selling in the country that you live in, with Facebook, you can apply for identity verification, which basically grants you the ability to run social issue ads. So I'm a Canadian, so running ads in the US is a challenge for me. If you have an employee or a shareholder that lives in the country that you want to advertise in, you can have them apply for it. I think they just have to submit the ad. So that's, if you're only in one country, it's easy. Just do that and move on with your life and not have to worry about it. But if you don't live somewhere and you want to advertise it, there are, what I've found specifically is talking about plastic waste is a pretty big red flag. I'm actually dealing with this problem this morning. I'm appealing it right now, but usually zero waste has tended to be okay. But for whatever reason this morning, I'm getting dinged for it. You just kind of like, my suggestion would be to like, I mean, realistically, if you have a product that's environmentally friendly, in order to be successful long-term, the merits of your product need to be more than just environmentally friendly. One of the reasons why our product has been so successful is because it's not just environmentally friendly. And, a lot of people have this assumption that environmentally friendly products are less effective or they are less easy to use. Like if I have to go and scrub my laundry on one of those old laundry washboards. I was going to say ab boards, not the other way around. The washboards, and then I have to like pre-treat it like every single area with a stick, and then I have to massage it with magical herbal oils that are sustainable, and then clean it. That's a lot more work to do laundry with our product. And if you're releasing a product into the market that is eco-friendly, what are the attributes that make it easier to use for the end consumer? Otherwise, you're never going to get the everyday consumer to purchase it because they're more likely to gravitate towards easier to use versus eco-friendly. So when you're coming up with your marketing, your talking points or your benefits and whatnot, like for us, it's like, how is it easier to use? How is it as effective or more effective than the alternative? And then your third checkbox is eco-friendly. So like you can talk about like eliminating waste, but you probably don't want to talk about eliminating plastic waste, or like you kind of have to be generic in that sense. Otherwise, you usually face the wrath of Facebook. But you just got, you just got to look at the other two elements to your business. And, really at the end of the day, the broad market is a much larger segment than just the eco-friendly segment. So if you can crack into that bigger space anyways, it's going to benefit you.
I think it's really interesting because you're also having to, in what you said there, you having to shift the mindset of people. Like you said, they think it's less, like eco products are probably more expensive and less effective. So, but once you can shift their mindsets and get them to see that that's not the case and they can help the environment, it's like the third one and like comes along, and then that's probably a reason that you've grown so fast. Is there some ways that you've done that through video or other types of marketing to make sure that you get that message across? Or
Yeah, for sure. Last September, we launched a video. We kind of got into like the Harmon Brothers style, like the funny videos, the long ones that everybody tells me, that's way too long. Nobody's going to watch that. We launched a video. It was called Things You Should Never Mix with Water. And it was like our first foray into like kind of like a professional caliber video. And it was a massive overnight like sensation. Like if you like right now, we're well over 50 million views on the video between Facebook and YouTube. And we've done more funny videos, but none of them have ever hit just as hard as that. And I think it's because, well, the video is very
Can you share a
relatable.
little bit more about why that video like hit and what was it about? Or
Yeah, for sure. So basically, it's I can kind of give you the template that we use. So in the video, we have Talitha Hanks, who's the star, and it opens up with her getting splashed with a bucket of water, and she says, "Things you should never mix with water." And there's a couple like funny hook things like kids scrubbing a laptop with water and lighting some sodium metal bomb on, putting water on it, and then basically it breaks into, so it's you get the hook to kind of suck them in, and then we talk about the problem. So heavy jugs, some of the environmental issues, and in the background, kids are running by, smashing things, being little hellions. And this mom in the video is she's very relatable. She introduces the problem, she introduces the solution, which is the strips. And then she goes on to talk about some of the social proof and demo the product and objection busting. And then, there's a call to action before that, another call to action afterwards, and then there's an outro with some funny clips and stuff like that. But the video was like 3 minutes long, and everybody I showed it to is like, it's too long. It's never going to work. But the one thing that I found with like video advertising is the longer you can keep somebody's attention, the higher chance you have of converting them into being a customer. It's like, it's a form of currency, their time. If you can keep them entertained and keep them educated, keep them entertained and educate them while educating them, you're going to basically be able to build up the problem in their head. And then you're going to be the trusted source for the solution. And one of the things that I think that we've done well as a result of these funny videos is, if you look at a lot of businesses in the environmental space or in environmental space as a whole, it's very aggressive. There's a lot of shaming. And the material for educating people is either like very depressing or it's very dry. And we wanted to take an approach, and we even worked with Kylie a little bit when we were coming up with the story, but we want to have a positive viewpoint on the world. I know that positivity doesn't elicit attention as well as depressing, sad, miserable things. However, my hypothesis is that we could replace the misery and the pain with entertainment and humor and, positive messaging. So instead of attracting people that want to like shame people, we want to educate the broader audience. We want to make people aware who might not have normally been aware. And we want more people to be aware of the problem. So our perspective was, we're going to make it fun. We're going to make it entertaining. We're going to want regular, everyday people to pay attention, not because they need another thing to argue about on Facebook or to be depressed about. We want people to feel good about themselves, and we want to make people feel good about making little changes that add up to big impact. And I think we're pretty successful with doing it with humor. But for us, like, honestly, like, it was one of the best decisions that we made a little over a year ago that really changed the direction of the business.
That's amazing. And not only did you break through so many barriers to create the company in the first place, you've broken through so many barriers of what people think you can and cannot do with advertising. And that makes me very happy because I like to do the same thing. I'm just curious, so many of the people that listen to us, they would love to do what you've done. They care about the planet. They see what's happening. They feel powerless. just like you were feeling before you started this, you said you were worried about your kids' future and everything. I think there's a lot of that in our community. What are some of the steps or some advice that you might have for some of them who are wanting to move in this direction?
Like from a business perspective or from like the personal perspective?
Probably both, because I think they're going to need both.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's like quitting smoking or, like losing 300 pounds. Like you can't just go and completely change your lifestyle overnight, like everything in one fell swoop and expect it to stick. What was that book, Automatic Habits or something like that? I can't remember what it's called.
James Clear, Automatic Habits.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. So, I mean, that's a pretty good example of a good book to read before you go and try to like transition any part of your life for that matter. But my perspective on everything, whether it's, I need to lose some weight right now, which I actually do, to how I like, if I want to make some sort of change in the world is, or if I want to eat an entire elephant, you can't eat an elephant in one bite. You have to eat them one bite at a time. That's the only way to get through the whole elephant. And it's the same thing with making change or starting new habits is you have to pick one thing that's easy enough that it doesn't cause so much friction that you're going to resent it or not do it. And, you build on top of those habits once you've got them kind of like as part of your life. And that's kind of like one of our things that we say a lot is like a lot of a sequence of small changes add up to big impact, or little hinges swing big doors. And people feel like they don't have a way that they can make a difference in the world. And the truth is that everybody can make a difference in the world. It's just, you don't have to do everything all at once. Pick something small. And like for us, we gave people an opportunity to switch laundry detergents. And then we gave them a couple other plastic-free solutions like a multi-surface cleaner. And I'm not saying that you have to buy it from us, but pick one thing and stick with it. And then once you're feeling comfortable and you're feeling like it's not a lot of work for you or it's not stressing you out, then consider adding another thing to your life or making another small change. And, after a period of time, I hate that 1% better every day trite saying that I see all over the internet because I think that that's impossible too. But like, as long as you're making progress, you're moving forward. And we need 7 billion people making a little bit of progress versus 1 billion people being perfect.
Yeah. So Ryan, tell us about some of the sustainability and social impact partnerships that you have, especially around the oceans.
Yeah. So we're doing a lot of different things between donating product to people in need and organizations around North America and even in Africa. But one of the more recent partnerships that we set up, and this was done through Brad, my partner, who's also the CEO, and OceanWise is a partnership to start cleaning up shorelines primarily across the USA, but in Canada as well. So we're one of the main partners for the Great American Shoreline Cleanup. And I was actually supposed to be down in Texas like 2 weeks ago, kicking it off, but then, another wave of COVID showed up. But yeah, we did one a few weeks ago here in BC, but we're trying to partner with them, or we are partnering with them long term to eliminate all the mess that shows up on the shore and try to make the oceans a more sustainable place for life, and make sure that we still have, I don't want to say seafood, but sea animals for a long time.
Yeah, we kind of need them. I don't think people realize quite how much.
I'm kind of curious, Ryan, now that you've had this success with Tru Earth, is the idea that keep expanding the product into like kind of mainland distribution? Are you thinking of additional products to add, or what's the grand vision and your passion going forward?
We're already in a number of retailing. We're in over 3,000 locations around the world right now. In the US, we're in some Kroger's, we're in Giant, we're in, I don't even remember all the places, but we've managed to get in quite a few major retailers already. But, our goal as a company, we're not just a laundry detergent brand anymore. Like our goal is to basically make true lasting change that will help save the planet. And we're doing that by helping eliminate single-use plastic from the home. And our goal is to continue to introduce more products that will give people the opportunity to make those small changes I was talking about earlier, that just make it easy. easy products to use, effective products that are eco-friendly. And we just basically want to be a medium for people to make those choices.
Love that. Ryan, you've been super generous with your time. I know you're a busy guy and sharing so much wisdom with our conscious entrepreneurial audience here. I'm curious if you have any closing thoughts or pieces of wisdom you'd like to impart upon them before we wrap it up today.
From a business perspective, I think one of the differences when you've got a business that has an impact or has potential to have an impact on the planet is a lot of entrepreneurs get to a point in their entrepreneurial life where they're either juggling too many balls or it becomes stressful and they consider giving up because sometimes the juice isn't worth the squeeze when it's just about the money. And it takes a while for most entrepreneurs to kind of figure that out, that they're working pretty hard for not a lot of money, or the money's just not worth it. But when your focus is on making impact, it's funny, you don't like wake up in the morning stressed out and think, oh man, I'm just going to give up on this mission that I'm on, because you're not focused on the dollars, you're focused on making a difference. And the money just generally winds up coming when you make an impact, right? And at the end of the day, it's a lot harder to give up on the planet than it is to give up on money. Or you can replace planet with whatever it is that you're passionate about. If you're getting into business and you want to get into business that has a conscious aspect to it, you can feel good about the fact that you're probably not going to have the same existential challenges going through your mind at some point, because you're not just doing it so that you can drive a nicer car. So that's maybe not the most quotable thing in the world, but I think if you're going on this journey and you want to make change, you're probably going to be a lot happier about your business adventure than you would if you were just looking to get a Lamborghini or a big house.
I think it's quotable. Ditch the Lamborghini, make a difference. No, there you go. So
yeah.
Where can people find out more about Tru Earth? What are your different, I know you have a subscription model. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the website's, it's actually a different URL than you normally see. It's www.tru.earth. There's no .com or .net. It's an Earth extension domain, which was pretty cool. That's the website. We offer both one-time purchases as well as subscriptions. There's a pretty big discount if you get a subscription. That's primarily because it subsidizes a lot of that customer acquisition cost for us. But 150,000 people are subscribed, so it's got to be decent. But yeah, and we sell a bunch of other stuff too that's plastic free and again gives you those opportunities to make little changes.
I also noticed, just a side note, that there's like 17,000 reviews, and I think almost 16,000 of those are 5-star reviews on the product itself. So that's impressive.
Yeah, lots of good reviews.
Lots of love over there. People love you guys, and I can see why. So, well, thank you for being here with us today. We super appreciate it. When we wanted to do this podcast, I thought of you almost first, and I have so much respect for what you're doing in the world and the contribution that you're making. And it was really amazing to be part of that story coming out and, that first version of the story. So thanks for letting me be a part of that. And thanks for being here with us today, Ryan.
Oh, awesome. Sorry, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Ryan. We really appreciate you and all that you're doing.
I appreciate both of you guys. Again, thank you for having me on the show. And Kylie, thank you for, when we got started, helping us out with some of our story. Without you, probably would be a lot sloppier. But I appreciate you guys thinking of me and having me on the show. It's always nice to hang out.
Awesome. Well, bye everybody listening. We'll see you next week. And yeah, take care.